Shut up and sit down.
Boom, Trinity. How are you? Anyway,
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm the street certified dope doctor here with you. Of course, I'm with my partner, the Dharma guy, Trinity Phillips, and we are Dope and Dharma, and this is the Couch Live episode version of Dope and Dharma. We've been doing this for 24 years. Welcome to the program. Since 1999, Trinity's still talking about it, still doing it, helping people heal, helping them
You
be
haven't
better
solved
people.
it yet?
Addiction. Now, it's just unsolvable. It's unsolvable, but not for the individual, Trinity, only for the masses. And
Touché.
So if you're one of those individuals and you're suffering a little bit, struggling a little bit, either personally or there's a family member, substance use, addiction, attitude, personality, something, join us today. And maybe something we say today can help you out. Maybe it can't. And if it can, maybe we can do something about it. Anyway,
You can reach out to us at 833-9-MATTERS.
That's right, 833-9-MATTERS. And tell everybody how they could follow us, do whatever they got to do, Trinity, so we can move on with the show real quick.
Yes, as always on Mondays, if you're in the Central Florida area, you can do so by tuning into 1680 WOKB AM or at 100.7 FM. And then if you'd like to participate in the discussion live via Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, you can do so by looking up Dope and Dharma.
That's
and
right.
if you want to listen to us at your leisure, you can do so at any major podcasting platform under said Dope and Dharma.
That's right. And, of course, Shaw's over there, the producer at WOKB. What's up, Shaw? How you doing? Keep the tape rolling. I guess that's how, I don't know how to say it in this digital world. You know what I mean? I only know tape and words like that, Trinity. I'm a 53-year-old man. We use different language.
Yeah, you said turn the dial last time, I think.
It's a dial, man. It's a dial. What else is going to be, a button?
Yeah, I guess.
You say mash the button. That's what you say.
But yeah, it says mash the like button because it's a little button you click on.
Yeah, exactly. If I would say dial to that never existed, it wouldn't make sense.
Sure.
But 10 years from now, that button.
Do you still, if you listen to if you watch your DVR, do you still say I taped the show last night?
Yep, I still. I still. If I'm lucky and remember, I say recorded. But I use taped as an adjective. Do you not? You don't use taped as an adjective?
I do not know.
Let me tell you something. There's a lot of people out there that call Coke Coca-Cola. I mean, Coke. Everything's Coke.
Yeah.
Right. Doesn't have to be. It doesn't matter if it's Pepsi.
Right.
It's still Coke. And then they go, "Was Pepsi okay?" Well, yeah.
No, it's not.
I really meant soda, but whatever. Soda sounds ridiculous, and so does the word pop. And if you're one of those that use those
I hate
words,
the word
that's
pop.
on you.
My wife says pop all the time. I'm like,
from the Midwest. Not from the Midwest. Anyways, we're way off track. Let's get back on track. We're talking about healing today on the Couch Live, Trinity. Healing.
I like it.
And I guess the reason why is so many individuals that we communicate with, both Trinity and I, if you don't know, I'm a certified addictions professional. I help people in the treatment of addiction on a daily basis. And Trinity's a spiritual advisor and helps people heal as well on a regular basis. And a lot of times people are hurting. They're just hurting.
Yes.
And so I want to talk about it first. But first, before we talk about healing, if we're going to talk about healing, we got to know from what, right? From what are we healing from? Like, you have to know that a problem exists, just like with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, any other kind of addiction or problem. First, you have to admit that it's there, Trinity. Like, you have to know that there's something wrong that needs a little attention. So let's talk about that. So from your perspective, how do we start gathering that information? The from what?
Ooh, I would say, well, the from what, right, is typically something that didn't go our way, right? Some sort of pain or trauma or, expectation that wasn't met. I think that, to me, the fastest way to know if you are in a situation where you need to heal, first and foremost, let me preface this all by saying I think we all need to heal, right? Like, we're all hurting in some form or fashion, right? Whether it be a very real hurt or a perceived hurt, it doesn't matter. Our minds and bodies don't know the difference between what two people would define as hurt or not. Like, if our brain interprets it as hurt, we're hurting. But having said that, I would say that, if you're finding yourself constantly in situations where your interpersonal relationships just aren't going the way you want them to go, if you're feeling yourself constantly feeling offended or angry or upset or rejected, things of that nature, that's probably a good sign that maybe your perspective isn't what you think it is.
Hmm.
Right? Like, is it possible that you just so happen to find every single person on earth that is just mean and rude?
No.
Sure. But I think it's more likely that you're the common denominator in all those relationships. And so if they're not going the way you want them to go, there's a very real possibility that maybe you have some unresolved issues that need to be looked at.
Okay, so let me go with that for a second because I can see someone easily getting offended by that, right?
Sure.
And we're
Wait, me
in
offend somebody?
a
Never.
and we're in a time where people get offended very easily
Yes.
for a lot of things, and we're not trying to do that. That's not our intention here. So can you go a little bit further into that when you're saying that if I put myself or if I'm in the situations over and over again that seem relatively similar, that the other party I continue to get in a relationship with continues to be kind of similar. I think what you're saying is that I'm bringing something to the table that I need
Yeah.
to look at, right?
Yeah, I'm saying that, for some people, we always joke about it in our other shows, is your picker's
Right,
broken, right?
right,
Like,
right.
well, if your picker's broken, I mean, like if you find yourself saying there's no good men or there's no good women,
Right,
there is. You're just not finding them. You're just
right,
not picking them because there's plenty of good men
right,
and good women throughout this entire world.
right.
But if you're constantly finding the ones that are letting you down and hurting you, or if you find
Mhm,
yourself constantly in a toxic or abusive situations,
mhm.
be it friendships, sexual relationships, doesn't matter. Um, then your picker is broken. Like, for some reason, you're attracted to something that's just really not
Yeah,
good for you. And I think instead of expecting the rest of the world to accommodate that and to see that in you and to adjust, right? Like, in a perfect world, that's great. That's where we would have, but we don't live in a perfect world. So at the end of the day, we're responsible for us and how
right.
we interpret, how we perceive, how we react, how we respond. And so if you're picking situations that end up toxic, then maybe it's time to reevaluate your criteria a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the problems with when your picker's broken and when you're not doing well and when you require healing is that it becomes your normal. Like
Yeah.
and I look, I get that you had to get to a point. We all do that. We need a baseline, and some of our baseline is a lot lower than other people's baseline, right? So what's normal for me may be completely abnormal to Trinity. Like he may
Yeah.
look at my lifestyle and what I deal with on a regular basis and my conversations and everything and go like, oh my God, there's so much stress there. And I'd be like, really? Doesn't I feel kind of calm and it's good and it's relaxing. And so it's just like that with pain, and it's just like that with when someone feels broken, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna give you a good. I'll give you a good example. I mean, both your parents. I'm a parent. You're a parent. Um, have you ever had your kid? Have you had your kid come up to you yet, Trinity? And I'm sure you have. So I'm just asking this
Oh
because
boy.
I know they've come to me and done this, and they'll report something about their childhood and kind of make it sound like it's a big deal, like it's horrific or traumatic, and it's like this happened to me, and they'd be like, "What?" I mean, I was there as the parent, and part is defense, and part is like, like that story. I used to walk 5 miles in the snow.
Yeah.
It
Of
makes me do
course.
one of those old man thing. You know what I mean? Have you had your kids come up to you at all and repeat maybe something that you experienced with them, but the way they made it sound was like a lot worse than what you remember it being?
Um, not my. I'm sure they have. I can't think of any specific instances with my little ones.
They're still
My
kind of
older
young.
ones, I can't.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
my
going to say
older
the
ones, I
teens and
can.
20s
Yeah,
do it. Yeah,
yeah. With them, I can for sure.
right.
Matter of fact,
Go ahead. Oh, here comes the memory.
this is one of my favorite memories of all time.
Okay.
We still joke about this to this day.
Okay.
It's semi unrelated, but it's related. When Angel and I were first dating, right? We
Okay.
were like first getting to know each other and talking. I came to her house one day, and it was during the summertime. And Skylar, who at this time was probably, I think she was 11, something like that, 11, 12, something. And she was asking to go to her friend's house. She came, it was like 10 o'clock at night, and she was wanting to go to her friend's house out like in Sanford, which is,
Right.
20, 30 minutes at least away.
Right.
And Angel, of course, was like, no, like you can't come to me at 10:30 at night and expect to go to your, no, it's not going to happen, basically. And I'll never forget this, dude. Once again, I just met this little girl. Like, I barely know her. I'm being introduced to the family.
Right.
And I remember her storming down the hallway, stomping her feet, saying, I'm sorry I was ever born. It was the most wonderful, drama-filled, like, are you kidding me? And at that moment, she absolutely thought that her mom was just like the worst human being on the planet, was
Right.
purposely like doing these things. I'm sorry I was ever born. And then we used to joke about it later on because as she got older, she realized how ridiculous that was. But
Yeah.
in that exact moment, yeah, she thought that was like the worst thing ever. But I don't know, this is just a funny story that I wanted to tell it. So
Yeah, they are funny. In you know, we get it, we understand it. We have our own with our parents, and I'm sure now
Sure.
I get why my parents look at me and go like, "Louis, stop." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I get it because
Yeah.
your perspective as a parent is very different. You know, but I have to be mindful to know that. Look, just like there were things that were painful to me that my parents just kind of dismissed because it wasn't painful to them. I want to be mindful that I don't want to repeat that behavior to my kids. I have to learn from that, right? I have to learn that.
Sure.
Well, to me, it may be a relatively innocent or whatever, and I'll give you one. I'll give you one. So this is really like making me look bad for a second, but I'm used to doing that, right? Trinity, I'm used to like making myself look bad on this. All right, so my youngest daughter Zoe, our youngest daughter Zoe, loves to tell a story to anybody new that she gets around whenever we're having these conversations, and goes, "Hey, Dad, you remember when you said you wish you could shoot me in the face?" I was like, listen. It sounds like something I'd say, and I don't remember exactly saying it, but she said it enough that I just got to believe that I said it because it sounds like something I would say. But it sounds like something I would say like with my sense of humor. So
Right.
in the context, the way she says it is that we were arguing, right? She was a real little girl, and it's because she was real little. Obviously, I'm not going to lay my hands on her, right? So she says that I looked at her very seriously and I said, I wish I could just shoot you in the face right now. Now, in my head, I'm thinking I probably said it as a joke, like very sarcastic to kind of like dismiss it. But I can see how that can sound pretty dang bad. I mean, even when I'm repeating it right now, it sounds pretty
Sure.
bad, right? And if
Sure.
and she laughs about it, so she's not like traumatized from it. But if she were another human being, another type of human being,
Right.
with different issues, right? And maybe my behaviors around it being more aggressive and like believable, she would be like, "Oh my God, my dad really wanted to shoot me." Like she'd
Right.
believe it. Like, but because now she knows my sense of humor, she's like, "Oh, Dad, remember when you said that?" She thinks it's funny. So I'm just saying, I could see another kid though saying, in a therapy session, like with a guy like me as the counselor, going, "And my father wanted to kill me. My father one time told me he wanted to kill me," and like get the therapist to believe that.
Yeah.
When there's context to it and there's a story to it, but like really, can you imagine sitting in that session, Trinity, and trying to explain the context to such? But you would just, and then if I look like you trying to explain that context, I'd never make it out of that session.
Oh yeah.
There'd be cops showing up at that session.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I had a situation almost identical to that. I wasn't with my kids, but yeah, I had a situation where I made a statement which I thought was being a good statement. Like instead of physically doing something, I was trying to express how I was feeling at the moment.
Right.
And
Right.
it came out as what they thought was threatening or whatever. It's like I'm not like I'm fully capable of doing whatever I want to do. I'm
Yeah.
trying to express my rage at the moment. Like instead of me sitting down saying I'm feeling very rageful today. Like no, I was like this is what I want to do right now. But
Right.
yeah, I 100% understand.
Yeah.
Although I've never told my kids I want to shoot them in the face. Put that out there. I've never said that.
I would deny it in a court of law myself because I can't remember actually doing it. But
don't worry, I won't post
again.
this
Again, knowing my sense of humor, and knowing that I have said things like, sometimes if you're a little boy, we'd have a different conversation right now, a little different way that I'd handle this right now. But I'm gonna let you get away with what you're getting away with, because little girls will get in your face and be like, "What are you gonna do about it?" Like when they were little, they'd be like, "Man, and you just don't." Or I just don't. And luckily I have a great relationship with my daughters and they're great people. But I'm saying that these are how sometimes, traumatic incidences can occur and happen.
Sure.
And then you have this injury that you're walking forward in your life. And if you don't even identify how that changed a course of action for you, like if you don't even know that because of the way I was treated by my brother, my sister, my parents, my family members, or somebody, I don't trust people, or I'm a lot more cautious to people. And you start using those things as virtues rather than things that may be negative for you. You start walking around like it's a virtue to not trust people.
Yeah.
Because I did. I walked around like that it was a good thing that I didn't trust people. Like that was a life lesson that everybody should learn, instead of realizing, no, my trust issues, come from not such a good place. And they require attention, or else I'm going to move forward in my life not trusting. And although it works for certain people out there, the ones that you want real close to you, you're going to accidentally apply that same virtue, and I'm using my little hand quotes, virtue to that, and you're not going to trust them when you really need to. And it's going to create a distance between you and the person that you're trying to get close to. And that could be a problem. And you might lose somebody that you really want in your life because of your trust issues.
I mean, isn't there a certain amount of homeostasis like involved in that as well? Right?
Can you
Like,
use regular English. When you use words like that, you just
you know exactly what I mean.
English is my
guarantee
second
you-
language, Trinity. Don't get racist on me.
I
Yo
know
soy mexicano.
100% that in
No
your
entiendo.
schooling you've come
No.
across that word.
Yo no entiendo inglés.
No, but I like, it's like armchair psychology 101, right?
Okay.
Like you try to recreate what you're used to. So like if you grew up in chaos and you grew up in like, a lot of a stressful environment,
Right.
then as you get older, oftentimes the lack of stress, the lack of conflict, you feel uneasy and anxious.
Yes.
So therefore you create conflict around you, so
Yes.
you feel more at ease. So
Yes.
you create an unstable environment that is
Yeah.
really toxic.
Yeah.
All because you want to feel more comfortable
Right.
like you did when you were younger. You don't necessarily like it, but
Right.
you're used to it, so you recreate that. And then oftentimes those individuals won't recognize that that's what they're doing, and instead they'll blame their partner or their friend and be like, oh,
Yeah.
they're always doing it, which in their perception that's very real, but what they don't realize is you created that conflict.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I mean by homeostasis, is just trying to rise back up to like the level that you feel comfortable.
Yeah, it's like walking around this earth and thinking that, everyone's a liar. What's wrong with it? Everybody's so stupid. And thinking, oh, no, I'm the only non-liar. I'm the only intelligent one out here. No, you must realize that most of us think the exact same thing you think about everybody else. So if we're all thinking it, that means some of us may be wrong. Like I love to joke that, look, we are all wrong and we are all right. And today I may be wrong and today I may be right. Yeah. And trust me, if I'm right now, it's not going to make me right 5 seconds from now. Yeah. 5 seconds from now, I may be very wrong. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
those are the realities of this life. So once we realize that we have something to heal from, right? It's like, all right, well then to what then, Trinity, right? Like, then where are we supposed to get? If I'm in pain, if I require healing, if there's something damaging to me that's hurting me from getting to where I can feel that happiness, right? Or that sense of comfort in this life, then how do I create a plan to what I'm moving forward to? Like, what am I going to, Trinity? Why is that so important?
Well, you got to have a goal, right? Like, you got to have some way of knowing if you're making progress or not.
Yeah.
I know for myself, when I went through my own journey, right, which I guess still technically on, right, as long as I'm alive.
Right.
And for me, it was finding peace, right? Like, I found inner peace, which was big for me. Never thought I needed it. Didn't even really know what it was, right? If you would have asked me what inner peace was, I probably would have given you some intellectual definition of the word or whatever. Like, I probably would have been, a smart, let's call it smart aleck, since we're on radio here.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
But do I really know what it was? No, until I got it. Once I got it, then I was like, whoa, that inner peace feels good. And so then my definition or my barometer for the progress that I'm making is when, number one, I can maintain that inner peace, and number two, my outside resembles the inside, right? Meaning the relationships that I have, my day-to-day ongoings, all feels peaceful as well.
Yeah.
Because I could have what I think to be inner peace, but still have conflict around me.
Right.
So when they match, when my inner peace matches the peacefulness around me, that's when I know I'm on the right track.
Right. And you got to believe it's possible, right? You got to believe that that's attainable for you.
That's a hard one, right? Like that. Not only that, I'm gonna take it one step further. I can only speak for myself and probably others like me. Is not only, number one, is it possible, but here's the big one for me, was that you actually want it.
Do I deserve it,
or do I want it?
Oh, okay.
Right.
You want
so
it.
For me, I didn't want it. Right. Like in my younger days, my aggressive day, I liked being aggressive. I liked the conflict. I liked being the dude that nobody wants to mess with. Like, I enjoyed it. I was like, so this idea of like peace and no, man, like, get out of my way, boy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so this idea that I would want this peaceful, compassionate existence, I would have laughed at you, dude. Like, there's no way.
Well, don't you want both? I mean, come on, Trinity. I think you want both.
Well,
I mean, look, I'm one
I
of your closest friends, I think.
yeah, I think we want everything, right?
I think you want both. I think on some moments of your life, you want people to believe and know how peaceful you are. But I think there's some moments in your life where you want people to know, please don't.
I think where I'm
else.
at now, I want the capacity for violence, but the ability to restrain myself.
Yes, but that's not how they perceive you, is what I'm saying. We were talking about their
Yeah.
perception, Trinity, not yours. I agree with you 100% on what you just said about you, how you feel about yourself. But how do you want us to view you?
You know what? I actually, I have an image in my head of a guy I used to work with, right, a long time ago,
Okay.
and it might not always come out that this is what I want because I struggle with it, of course, because I have aggression at my core. There was a guy I used to work with. His name is Columbus. I don't know if anybody who watches this show or whatever, but like, here is this guy I worked with, massive human being, right? But not like a guy that works out. It's just a big dude. Big dude, and he was ridiculously strong. Like, I used to work out a lot, like powerlifting, everything.
Right.
And I would go mess with this dude sometimes, and just the amount of strength that he had for someone who didn't go to the I could not wrap my head around it.
Right.
It was just, he was like a mutant, dude. It was insane. And but at the same token, so he was massive and he was stronger than anybody I've ever met in my life. But,
Right.
he was the nicest, most humble, gentle person I've ever met. And I always loved talking to him because I was like, man, I wanted to be like, I wanted to give off the same vibe where everybody knew if he really wanted to or he needed to, he could just don't mess with that guy. But
Right.
he never said it or never, like, he was such, and that's how I've always wanted to come off. And that's what I've been striving to in my life now. I think I'm much closer than I've ever been. Am I where he was? Probably not. But for all due respect, he was in his 50s, I think. So I still got some time to go, right? I don't know what he was like in his 30s and 40s. I don't know. But I was always amazed with how he had the capacity and the ability, but nobody looked at him that way.
Right.
Everybody looked at him as this big old teddy bear. He worked like 2 or 3 jobs. He was like taking care of his kids. It was just like the nicest dude ever. But when you touched hands with him, you could tell, like, whoa, like, this is not going to be a good day. And that's what I think I've always wanted everybody to view me as.
That's a great little bit of context right there. And that's cool that you were able to have that kind of role model image in your head and stuff. And I believe that. I see that in you. The other part of this believing it is possible for yourself, the reason I brought that part up with the to what is because if you don't believe it's possible, then it's like we don't want to go into something knowing we're going to fail at something.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know about you, but there's been times in my life where if I know or if I feel that I can't succeed at it, I just don't even give it any effort. I just refuse to even pretend.
Try doing arts and crafts with Angel, bro. So I feel every time.
I would rather just say that I suck at it and then do it so I know that it's not supposed to look good, even though while I'm doing it, I'm really trying to make it look good.
That's literally my my attempt every time her and I do something together that's arts and crafts.
Right. But I know I personally struggle with that, and I'm not alone. It's a human type way of being, right? Some of us are challenged by obstacles, and some of us refuse to even try to navigate obstacles, right? I'm a little bit of both. There are times where I'm impressed with myself that I challenge obstacles, and there's times where I'm disappointed in myself for not even giving an attempt to navigate. And we can go on, and I could sit here in a therapy session and we could figure all that out, or we could just have this conversation about it, which says most of us probably are like that. Most of us are not, fully one color or the other when it comes to this. We're all just a little bit all types, right? And so it's no different with me. And so in this, they're trying to figure out, is it possible? What I realized, like, especially with like addiction or some sort of something that's destroying your life, right? If it's scary to even think about what life would be like without it, right? Like, God, man, if I didn't have that, what do I have? Because I remember when I first started doing a lot of the stuff I was doing. First of all, when they were saying, well, you got to change your people, places, and things, you got to change your friendships. It's like, well, then who am I going to be around? Who am I going to hang out
Right.
with? Like, what kind of conversations am I going to have? I mean, I don't know how to have any other conversations. I started at 9 years old, Trinity. So my entire way of communicating and being and hanging out and what I found to be fun and entertaining, all that was basically generated and revolved around some sort of maladaptive behavior or substance, right? So to even
Right.
think that I could find joy from just going to a movie without being intoxicated, just that even thought was so ridiculous to me that I would make fun of it and think that it was corny or say that I don't even want that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Look, Dana, my wife Dana is my first girlfriend. Like I didn't even attempt relationships before her because they just were. It's like I went into them knowing. I mean, you're using me. I'm using you. We know what we're doing, right? We don't even have to pretend, right? And so those are the kind of people that I attracted, people that understood that from jump. So I didn't go out with girls that wanted boyfriends. I didn't go out with girls that were innocent. I didn't go out with women that had a different goal in mind or a boyfriend in mind. I preferred the ones that knew, you creep, I creep, we both creep, we are what we are, right? And it was acceptable. I could look back on that and I go, wow, man, if I would have thought that this guy that I am now was the goal, then I wouldn't have been able to succeed in that kind of world doing what I was doing. It would have made it very awkward. I fully intended to continue that way for the rest of my life. I had no intention or desire or thought of being the good person that I am today. I've joked many times on this show and others that, look, if you'd have told me that I'd even own a Toyota at age 53, I would say, shoot me now, right? Or if that I was going to be loyal to the same woman for over 30 something years, I would have said, oh God, please no, right?
Yeah.
Or that I was going to help people for a living, and not hurt them for a living, by way of business, right? That instead my entire existence was going to be helping people through nonprofits, helping the government help people by utilizing their money better. All the stuff that I do full time, it'd be like, there is no way I want to be that dude. Not only that I didn't think that I could do it, but I don't even want to be that person. So part of the healing is to what? You got to have an end goal. Now, my end goal at the time was I just want to not go to prison. I don't want to be held accountable for the statute of limitations for the things that I've done. And that was my first initial goal. That was it. So I remember the day when that became like I met that goal. Then the next goal had to be, all right, I just want 10 years of sobriety. Just give me 10 years and then I'll go back to getting high. I'll go back to doing whatever I want to do. And then the 10 years hit and it was like, oh my God, to what now? Like I had to constantly put a new goal in because initially I didn't even think I'd make it to 18 years old. And so making it to 18 years old is one thing. Then not going to prison is another. And then, oh my God, I can't believe I got away with these behaviors. How is that even possible? Do I even deserve getting away with this? Why is it that this guy and that person, they all died from these behaviors, but I get to live? Why is it that they destroyed their lives, but I get to have mine? Why is it that their family will no longer accept them, but my family is so loving and respectful? Why is it that they feel so unloved in the world? And man, all the respect and love that I get in the world, it's like, now I got to feel deserving. So to
Right.
what? It was hard to identify. So I really do think that the path needs to be a good goal, but don't be afraid of making it a goal that doesn't even seem like you want it initially.
Yeah.
I agree with you what you said, like to even want it. And all the best goals that you've gotten are they not goals that you didn't even think you wanted in the first place? All the
They
best
all
things
are.
yeah, that's my
All.
point. So in goal setting, people don't just think about what you want out of life. Imagine something that you could not even imagine wanting, but that if you did want that would be a beautiful thing.
I would challenge everybody to be brutally honest, right? And what I
Amen to that.
mean is so we see something out there that maybe we would call cheesy, right?
Mm.
We're like, oh, that's come on. Is it though? You know what I mean? Like, is it really? If you were to look at the joke of our age, as the Leave It to Beaver lifestyle, right? We're like, oh, Leave It to Beaver, like that's cheap. But if you thought that it was truly possible, would you still call it cheesy? Right?
Right.
Like the problem is our cynicism, right? Our past hurts creep in and tell us that that's not even possible, that they're never going to do that. So that's cheesy and stupid.
Right.
but it's really not, right? Like if you take a step back and you remove your pain from the situation, right, and your cynical outlook that those people are inevitably doing something, that's all trained, right? That's all learned behavior. So if
Right.
you remove that from the situation, just look at it for what it is. Is it really cheesy? Is it really? No, it's phenomenal. It's wonderful, right? Like back in the day, the idea that I would be happily married to somebody for as long as I have been
Mhm.
and totally fine with it, I thought that was stupid
Right.
because I never saw myself committing. I knew I inevitably wouldn't commit, or they would do something crazy or cheat on you or whatever it might. Somehow it would fall apart. That was
Right.
what my conditioning was based upon my own behaviors and everything I saw up to that point.
Mm.
But if I'm honest, no, like it's a phenomenal goal to have somebody that's connected to you that you're living. It's awesome. It's great. So like I think that's part of the deal, right? Is to stop lying to yourself. Stop allowing your conditioning thinking to already dismiss something that we all know is phenomenal and great and wonderful for you. Because at the end of the day, we all know we want this connection.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
That's right.
Stop pretending that like that's not what you're looking for. I think that's part of the healing process is humbling yourself enough to admit that all those cheesy
Mm.
things you kind of do want,
Right.
right?
So what you're
You
saying, it's
don't.
an inside job.
It is an inside job, right? Like you might not want. You don't want all the negative stuff that your brain automatically has been conditioned to go to.
Mhm.
Which, yeah, duh, nobody wants that. But all the good stuff, like you do want that. Like at the end of the day, you are looking for that, right?
Yep.
Like, and I think that's the job of healing is
Right.
learning to tell that voice inside of you, hey, you don't want this. It's going to fail. It's not
Right.
even possible. Only idiots do these things. Telling
Right.
that voice to go away
Right.
and listen to the voice of saying, yeah, I want to be loved and I
Mm.
want to love somebody and I want to feel what it feels like to have somebody who wants me to come home every night. Like, I want to feel what it feels like to have people enjoy my company and look forward to seeing me. I don't want
Mm.
to ruin all these relationships, blah, blah, blah. Like, stop listening to the voices telling you it's not possible and you can't do it and it's never going to work. Like, I think that's part of the healing process. As you said, inside job.
Yeah, nobody can do this for you, people. Nobody can do it for me. Nobody can do it for you, Trinity. I mean, you got to
Would have
want
been
it. You
nice,
got to
though.
do it. Yeah,
Would have been nice. I'm just going to be honest.
that's so true. No, I mean, and it takes work. I mean, it's not an event. You know, it's a process, and you hear these things like you got to trust the process and all that. And I love what you said about the corny stuff because, so all the cool stuff lands me in jail. All the cool ways of thinking, all the cool ways of behaving. There's a lot of people that have that possess those same cool thoughts, those same cool attitudes, and a lot of them are incarcerated, right? And then there's these corny thoughts, and there's the ways to think corny or to act corny, and those people tend to be successful. So
And
so it's
happy.
like and happy. So it's like the corny stuff allows me to be successful, and then the cool stuff gets in my way and causes me problems sometimes. You know what I mean? And that is the battle of the yin and yang, the internal yin and yang
Yeah.
of all of us, right? The key is to be enough of a dork or enough of a geek inside to make the right decision when the cool one inside you is trying to like convince you, nah, let's do it, bro. Let's do it. Let's go for
Yeah.
it. Go for it. No,
Yeah,
don't go
I
for
have
it.
I have that dialogue quite frequently with
Yeah,
myself.
like daily, like
Yes.
multiple times a day.
Yes, right.
I'm
Because
with you.
there's still a part of me that is street, right? Like I spent
Yeah,
so many
right,
years living a certain lifestyle and growing up a
right,
certain way
right.
that voice inside my head, he didn't go anywhere. He's still there. He sings just as loudly as he's always sang. However, I've gotten better over the years tuning it out and
Right,
ignoring it, right?
right.
But yeah, and part of that was I had to admit that the cheesy stuff,
Yeah,
like, yeah, I kind of like it, right? Like
yeah,
I had to. It was a weird thing for me personally. The day that I had to like be cool with being, a dork, right, or a
right,
square or whatever you
right.
want to call it these
Whatever you want
days,
to
right?
call it.
Um, because I was always so fixated on presenting this other image and being this other person,
Right.
no matter what the cost. But now the good stuff that I'm getting in relation to the different mindset is so wonderful and it feels so much better that I've clung to that to the point where I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm this, whatever, doesn't bother me because I'm happy when I go home. So, the feeling I get when I walk in the door is so much better than the feeling I get when I'm trying to maintain this other image.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's a battle that some of us have more than others. I think, right? Like,
Right.
I wasn't raised in an environment that lended itself to the quote unquote dorky lifestyle, right?
Right.
Like, if the environment that I grew up in and I lived in, if you were dork, you probably got beat up or shot. So you
Right.
couldn't be that. You had to learn how to not be that. And you had to learn how to value a certain amount of edge or roughness. But that edge and roughness makes it very difficult to build long-lasting connected relationships, which at the end of the day, that's what I want, man.
Yeah. You don't want to peak too early, kids. And if you're cool too young and you get everything you want too young, you peak early. But if that's your peak and everything else after that is a decline, you're going to spend a lot more years in decline. And there's people out there like that, man. They're living the rest of their life, on yesterday's accomplishment. And unfortunately, they're not making any new accomplishments. They're not creating any new identity. They're not trying to evolve. If you're doing that, you're just going to be frustrated over and over again. And what you're going to have to do is continuously find people that will give you what you can't give yourself because you know the truth. So you're gonna have to find people that constantly are in awe of what they think you are when you know the truth. The truth. I mean, if you're strutting around your house when you're all by yourself, that's that's a problem. Right? Like, if you're doing the risky business and you're the only one at home, I mean, at least acknowledge what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't try to impress yourself too much, man. The reality is that all of us suffer a lot of the same things, and we all heal quite similarly. So we can learn a lot from each other, man. And it's important to have good mentors out there, and it's important to have people around you that can help you along this path. But like we said, first you gotta know that you're in pain. You got to know that you require the healing in the first place. You got to know that you're injured from something, and it's okay. We're all injured from something, and sometimes it's traumatic, and sometimes it's something not so big of a deal. But there's people out there, suffering for some pretty big things. I mean, we joke all the time on this show about we have first world problems, but there's people out there with real problems. And we were talking about earlier how there's countries out there that some of the individuals are suffering pretty hardcore. Not that we don't have people suffering that way here, but there are countries where it's a little bit more prevalent and accepted and untreated, and there's not a lot of people, there's not a lot of escape from it, I should say. Whereas at least here, if you reach out your hand, somebody's probably going to grab it. If you reach out your hand, someone's going to grab it and say, come here. It may not look like what you thought it was supposed to look like. It may not, feel entirely pleasant at the moment or yet, but trust that process and move forward. Because this is only something you can do. I can't bring you comfort. I can help inspire you. I can help encourage you. Trinity can help paint that pretty little picture and help get that burn and fire inside you to kind of want to motivate yourself. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to do it. You got to do the daily activity, and you got to turn something from a habit into just instinctual. Like Trinity, when I talk about recovery, I say I have an instinctual recovery. Yeah. I don't think about myself as an addict every day. I don't sit there and call myself an addict every day. I don't sit there and negatively speak about myself every day. Truths are truths, right? They just exist. Instead, I wanted and have created an instinctual type of recovery, one that I'm immediately repelled from negative energy. So if there's someone out there it's negative in nature to my recovery status, then I'm blessed enough now that I've practiced it long enough that I immediately repel. If there's a behavior out there that's a negative influence to what behaviors I want to achieve and keep doing, then I immediately repel. Like, I wanted the instinct, just like I had in the basic fighting. Like when we talk about being kids, right? Your first instinct as a kid in rough areas is to just, I got to block your hit, or I got to be able to counterpunch very well, right? I got to know danger when it's there. And all those little instincts that I had as a little kid, I wanted in my recovery. If you're a fighter in any way and you're thinking about fighting, you're losing, right? You have to instinctually respond. And the same thing in recovery. You got to instinctually respond. You can't have to think it. You'll overthink it. You'll think your way out of it. You'll think your way into it. you know, uh, thinking, like they say, the stinking thinking, right? You can have that stinking thinking. I don't want stinking thinking. I want instinct. Instinct. And you have to trust that inside you are good instincts. Inside you, you're a survivor. You are the strongest, fastest swimmer. You made it to the egg. And if you're not even a twin, then you didn't even let anyone else gather an egg. You like took the egg all to yourself, and everybody that was knocking on the door, you say, go find your own. I'm here. And you made it. You made it to life, and you survived 0 to 5. And 0 to 5, surviving 0 to 5 ain't easy. There's a lot of death all around you 0 to 5. I don't even know how kids make it. As floppy as their head is, as soft as that skull is, and as ridiculous as some of your childhood behaviors are. I don't know how we live, Trinity. Think about all the stuff that we did before 12 years old. How the hell did we live?
I have no idea.
Trinity,
I've got the broken bones and stuff to prove it too.
Exactly. I was riding around on a motorcycle with my BB gun at 9 years old, drinking and smoking cigarettes. How the hell did that kid live? That kid shouldn't live. I mean, that's just dumb behavior. Right? That's just ridiculous behavior. And yet the kid lives, and that's because we're resilient as humans. Humans are all animals. All animals, actually. All animal species are resilient. They survive, man. That's why we're still here over and over again, despite the problems we've had with ourselves, despite the problems we've had with each other. We still find a way to make it to the next day, and I just think that's beautiful. So you got to work on the inside job. That's the main focus that I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah, well, I mean, and to me, I think that's where the to what really matters, right? The to what matters because, when your goal, when your intent is to reach whatever it might be,
right.
All the stuff that it takes to get there just makes sense,
right?
Like, if your goal is to use, then not getting any sleep or robbing somebody or lying to this person, it just makes sense because that's my goal, man. My goal is to get this end thing. So all these other things that I got to do to lead up to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to justify it because it makes sense to get me to that goal.
Right.
And so that's why it's important to change the goal. It's important to change the to what. And for me, that's, in my life, I turned it into, hey, I'm trying to get to this inner peace and to this outer peace. So then, as you pointed out, right, the instinctual recovery, your job is to stay recovered and stay, healthy and everything else. So avoiding these things just makes sense. Yeah. It's not even a decision you have to make because your to what, if you will, right, your goal here, your intent is to get to this area. So all the things leading up to that just make sense. And that's why I think the to what is extremely important. Like, and dream, man. Like I said earlier, like who cares? Stop with the cheesy, with the corny. Just don't label it or define it. Just think about what you truly want and why can't you have it?
Right.
Whatever that is.
Right. And you ain't got to want it to get it. You got to want it to keep it.
Yeah.
That's the truth. You only have to want it to keep it, not to get it. I mean, I didn't want anything I got initially.
I didn't want kids or marriage. So I'm married with 4 kids.
Not only that, the Dharma guy was on this show saying that. On this show, I remember, Trinity, when you were single, you used to come on this show and try to convince me.
Yes.
How your single life.
I thought marriage was terrible. It was horrible. I know. I argued for years that men and women were not even meant to procreate or to cohabitate.
On this show, people. On this show.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, he takes a trip to Las Vegas that I thought he went by himself. Next thing you know, I find out he wore jeans, which was ridiculous.
Came back married.
He came back married.
Well,
I didn't even know you wore jeans back then. I didn't even know. I've only seen you in shorts and tank top.
It was only for just a little bit of time.
He wore jeans and he went to a what is that? Elvis Presley church.
Drive-through.
I went through that drive-through. He goes, I was gonna go do it just in honor of you, and then they tried to charge me outrageous money. I said, nah, I ain't gonna do it.
Really? Wow. No, did you ever? You actually went to the one? I went to
the church you got married at.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Dana and I. Yeah, all of us. As a matter of fact, me and the kids and everybody, we all said, let's go find Trinity's drive-through. The one Trinity got married at.
We wanted to do Elvis, but it was too expensive.
Yeah, as a joke, we said, let's go renew our vows, Dana. And then it was like $400 or something like that, or something ridiculous. I was like, nah, I love you. You know I love you. I'd rather go spend the money on crab legs.
Right.
But anyway, So that's it, people. That's it. That's from what? Because we all have pain. We all have trauma. We all have an experience that might be holding us down. We all feel a little broken, right? It's not. I mean, some of us more than others. Some of us so much so that we want to prove to everybody else, oh, I'm more broken than you. I'm the most broken in the world. Therefore, I deserve the most healing. No, we all have some brokenness. Just some people focus on it a little bit more. Like for instance, I've noticed my daughter's always a lot like me, right? So when she's tired or frustrated in the car, like when you're on long drives, you get to know your kids a lot better, right? And Zoe, every once in a while, go, when are we going to be there? Oh, I hate driving. Like she'll say stuff, and I'm thinking, like we all didn't even need to know that. Like none of us care. None of us want to be in the car anymore. Like we're all ready to be there. Like, but you have to constantly vocalize that you're tired. You always have to vocalize that you're exhausted. You have to vocalize that you're bothered. Right. And I'm thinking, dang, she got that from me. I do that. Now I know.
Don't we all though?
Well, I know I must do it a little bit more than some others because I feel like my parents.
You are the diva.
I am a little bit. And she is too. That's the thing. Yeah. My little bougie daughter got it from me, so I had to take responsibility. But I'm learning a lot through her. I'm learning some of my faults from her because I'm seeing them in her. And I'm like, oh my God. I feel like answering her like my dad did. And my dad would have probably told me he wanted to shoot me in the face too. And matter of fact, he probably did. My dad, he probably did.
Passing it down from generation, man.
Yeah. I mean, look, my dad's love language is, Louis, you're a stupid idiot. You know what I mean? My dad's calling me a stupid idiot is like saying, I love you, son. I love you. That's it. And that's okay. Dad, he does love me. I am his favorite. And he goes, oh, you still believe that, huh? No, okay. It's just his love language is different, and you learn to accept people the way they are. Anyway, so I got nothing else. You got anything else?
No, that's it, man. Time is running out. They got what is it? The Monday something that's coming up with the guys. I can't remember the name of it at the moment.
What did you?
I'm not the one that does the intro. It's Shaw that does the intro.
Oh, you talking about the All Good Brothers?
There we go. But no, he calls it something Monday night.
Yeah, man. Look at that. Let Shaw do the introductions. Trinity. Exactly. All you need to do is your final words, man. You got any final words?
Just healing is cool. Don't convince yourself that the learned behavior that you do nowadays to protect yourself is you. That's not who you are. That's who you learn to be, and you can learn to be something different.
That's right. That's right. And like Marissa from the Facebook Live, she just said it's all about perspective. It is all about perspective, people. But most importantly, it's about you. And please make it about you. You can be mindful of others, but mostly be mindful of yourself. And taking care of yourself doesn't mean hurting others. It means not hurting you. Let's not get those two things twisted. Anyway, take it away, Shaw, over there at WOKB 1680 and, of course, 100.7 FM on the Orlando dial. Trinity. From all of us here on the Couch Live and Dope and Dharma, adios amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.